Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something that boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, the plot thickens when it comes to the whole Jack Catterall versus Josh Taylor situation. Because, look, we watched the fight. It was an egregious robbery of epic proportions because Catterall clearly won the fight. I think most people can agree that Catterall clearly won the fight. I know some people scored for Taylor after going back and rewatching it, but most people think that Catterall won that fight. And the fact that he didn't just get robbed of his undefeated record, his gym becoming world champion and $1 million paydays. He got robbed of being the undisputed champion of the world. He should really be looked at as greater in the sport, but he got robbed of that, and he got robbed of a beautiful moment that he's worked for since he was a little boy. Due to incompetency from the judges. Now, the plot is thickened, all right? Now, I found this to be funny, but at the same time, it's funny, but I also want it to be, I want something to come of this. Now, it's been reported by, a number of news outlets that, the speaker of this fight was referred to by the police, all right? So basically what wound up happening was the House of Commons was phoned up. The House of Commons is like a part of the British government, to my understanding, which is like they enact a bunch of laws and parliament and things like that. It's a big deal, the House of Commons, all right? Now, the House of Commons speaker is a guy named Lindsay Hoyle, and he sent a letter himself, all right? A representative of the House of Commons has sent a letter himself to the police about Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall and the decision. And it's been said that the Minister for Sport is looking into the case, and we're going to see what's happening. Now, I don't know what all that really means at the end of the day, but I think it's pretty interesting because this fight, the result is looked at to be so bad, so atrocious, so trash that they're getting the police involved. A lot of times we hear about robberies and that word's thrown around, but how many robberies do you know in boxing history have had the police involved? I really think that this fight, and the result of this fight and the way it's played out, there's a lot of similarities in this fight to the 1990s fight that took place between James Toney and Dave Tiberi. Now, for my boxing historians out there, and for those that know, for those that don't know, when James Toney fought Dave Tiberi, that was a kind of similar to this. The fight wasn't as big because Toney wasn't undisputed, but Toney was in his prime. Toney had just was a couple fights removed from beating Michael Nunn. He was his last fight before that Tiberi fight was against Mike McCallum, where he got a draw in a fight that many people thought he won. Tiberi was looked at to be a guy that wasn't a big challenge to him. It was such a mismatch on paper that you couldn't even go and bet on this fight at the sports book back then. That's how much of a mismatch this was on paper. And much like Catterall, they didn't give Tiberi a chance against James Toney. And Tiberi went there that night, and he fought the fight of his life. And he beat the brakes off James Toney, beat the piss out of James Toney. Didn't stop him, but clearly won the fight. And the judges gave Toney the decision. Now, the fight was so bad that the fight went to the New Jersey court, all right? And they investigated into it, and they found a bunch of things were wrong, like that a couple of the judges, or I think it was the judges, the referees, didn't even have a license, or they weren't qualified to even work the fight. It was just a really sad state of affairs. They uncovered a lot of corruption in the fight. And then even 10 years later, James Toney admitted that Tiberi beat him. So if you've never seen that fight, go read into it, go watch it. There's a lot of similarities. And now there's news coming out now that apparently the WBO, the sanctioning body, had previously objected the appointment of a couple of the judges of this fight, like judges such as Ian John Lewis and Victor Laughlin, who both scored the fight for Taylor. These guys were both objected by the WBO. The WBO did not want Victor Laughlin or Ian John Lewis judging this fight. And Laughlin scored at 113-112 for Taylor. Lewis scored at 114-111 for Taylor. So the judges that were denied by the WBO still want being able to judge the fight. And it was corruption, just a lot of corruption. So a lot of things happening with this fight. Hopefully something can come of it because Jack Catterall deserves to be the champion. He won the fight. This old notion of, in boxing, you got to take the belt from the champion to win. Like, what does that mean? Like, we got to get to a place in boxing where we really unpack what that means because at the end of the day, it's a fight. You got to go in there and win the fight. And if the challenger wins by a round or 2 rounds or 3 rounds or how many rounds it is, if he wins 7 rounds or more in a 12-round fight, he should get the decision. All of this, you got to take the belt from the champion bullshit. It leaves room for corruption, and it leaves room for the wrong guys to get the decision. And it muddies up the waters of history, and guys lose out on millions of dollars and paydays and things like that. So it's just a sad state of affairs. But yeah, man, you know, the WBO objected the appointment of Ian John Lewis and Victor Loughlin. And that's what it is. How they actually got to judge the fight, despite the fact that the fight was sanctioned under the authority of the British Boxing Board of Control, it makes no sense, because now they're saying that the British Boxing Board of Control is going to investigate the decision. But if they're going to investigate the decision for a fight that they sanctioned, for judges that they allowed to be sanctioned for the fight, how on earth can we expect there to be any sort of, you know, justice in the sport? I mean, it just makes no sense. You know, boxing needs a reformation as far as the administration of the sport. You know, that's been said for many years. Nothing's ever changed. I don't think I'm going to change boxing, and I don't think, you know, it'll ever change, but I'm going to get it out there and speak my little piece on it. So, yeah, that's the news. The Josh Taylor Catterall fight has been referred to the police. The police are getting involved. Now more stuff's coming out about the WBO objecting the British Boxing Board of Control's appointment of the judges of Ian John Lewis and Victor Loughlin, who both scored the fight for Josh Taylor. So, you know, I don't know how that's going to work. How is the British Boxing Board of Control going to investigate themselves? You know, someone make that make sense. How does the British Boxing Board of Control investigate themselves? You know, make that make sense. But leave your comments down below. Give me your take on it. Take time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button and surely you will not be disappointed. You know, True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, you know, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God bless.